Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I have the book by Neville Goddard called The Power of Awareness. In chapter 12, Neville Goddard talks about your imagination. It's called subjective control. Your imagination is able to do all that you ask in proportion to the degree of your attention. All progress, all fulfillment of desire depend upon the control and concentration of your attention. Attention may be either attracted from without or directed from within. Attention is attracted from without when you are consciously occupied with the external impressions of the immediate present. The very lines of this page are attracting your attention from without. Your attention is directed from within when you deliberately choose what you will be preoccupied with mentally. So we want to be preoccupied with a big, beautiful, audacious goal, something that you want more than anything. If you're preoccupied with it, it takes up room in your mind. It invigorates your imagination, keeps you going when the outside world is not very favorable, especially to the conditions that you would prefer to manifest. And Neville says, it is obvious that in the objective world, your attention is not only attracted by, but is constantly directed to external impressions. But your control in the subjective state is almost non-existent, for in this state, attention is usually the servant and not the master, the passenger and not the navigator of your world. There's an enormous difference between attention directed objectively and attention directed subjectively. And the capacity to change your future depends on the latter, on being able to direct your attention subjectively. He says, when you are able to control the movements of your attention in the subjective world, you can modify or alter your life as you please. But this control cannot be achieved if you allow your attention to be attracted constantly from without. There's so much going on outside of us. It takes effort, it takes persistence to set aside some time each day to just focus on your breathing, direct your imagination, your subjective control to how you want to feel, not feeling in relation to what's going on around you. That's easy to do. He wants us to just focus your imagination on what you prefer, what you truly desire. He says, each day set yourself the task of deliberately withdrawing your attention from the objective world. So that takes turning off the TV, the cell phone, closing your door, and just meditating, praying, sitting quietly, focusing on your breathing, not allowing the outside world to have your attention. He says, each day set yourself the task of deliberately withdrawing your attention from the objective world and of focusing it subjectively. In other words, concentrate on those thoughts or moods which you deliberately determine. Then those things that now restrict you will fade and drop away. The day you achieve control of the movements of your attention in the subjective world, you are master of your fate. You will no longer accept the dominance of outside conditions or circumstances. You will not accept life on the basis of the world without. Having achieved control of the movements of your attention and having discovered the mystery hid from the ages, that Christ in you is your imagination, you will assert the supremacy of imagination and put all things in subjection to it. And then he goes on in chapter 13 to talk about acceptance. Man's perceptions are not bounded by organs of perception. He perceives more than sense, though ever so accurate, can discover. However much you seem to be living in a material world, you are actually living in a world of imagination. The outer physical events of life are the fruit of forgotten blossom times, results of previous and usually forgotten states of consciousness. They are the ends running true to oftentimes forgotten imaginative origins. Whenever you become completely absorbed in an emotional state, you are at that moment assuming the feeling of the state fulfilled. If persisted in, whatsoever you are intensely emotional about, you will experience in your world. These periods of absorption, of concentrated attention, are the beginnings of the things you harvest. It is in such moments that you are exercising your creative power. And your creative power is the only power there is. At the end of these periods or moments of absorption, you speed from these imaginative states where you have not yet been physically to where you were physically an instant ago in your imagination. In these periods, the imagined state is so real that when you return to the objective world and find that it is not the same as the imagined state, it is an actual shock. You have seen something in imagination with such vividness that you now wonder whether the evidence of your senses, what you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, can be believed. And like Keats, you ask, was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music. Do I wake or sleep? This shock reverses your time sense. By this, it is meant that instead of your experience resulting from your past, it now becomes the result of being in imagination where you have not yet been physically. In effect, this moves you across the bridge of incident to the physical realization of your imagined state. The man who at will can assume whatever state he pleases has found the keys to the kingdom of heaven. He says the keys are desire, imagination, and a steadily focused attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To such a man, any undesirable objective fact is no longer a reality, and the ardent wish is no longer a dream. Malachi 3:10 quotes, Prove me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. The windows of heaven may not be opened and the treasures seized by a strong will, but they open of themselves and present their treasures as a free gift, a gift that comes when absorption reaches such a degree that it results in a feeling of complete acceptance. The passage from your present state to the feeling of your wish fulfilled is not across a gap. There is continuity between the so-called real and unreal. To cross from one state to the other, you simply extend your feelers, trust your touch, and enter fully into the spirit of what you are doing. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Assume the spirit, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you will have opened the windows to receive the blessing. To assume a state is to get into the spirit of it. Your triumphs will be a surprise only to those who did not know your hidden passage from the state of longing to the assumption of the wish fulfilled. The Lord of hosts will not respond to your wish until you have assumed the feeling of already being what you want to be. For acceptance is the channel of his action. Acceptance is the Lord of hosts in action. Well, let's take a moment to get into that state of already being what you want, where you want to be, how you want to be. If you are alone and undisturbed, take some time now to take a deep breath in and let that go. 3 deep cleansing breaths will signal to your central nervous system that you are safe, that it's okay to relax. And put yourself into the state of being, first of all, comfortable and relaxed, and then in the state of being what you desire. When you practice this every day, it comes easily to just imagine what it is that you desire. It's already here now. It's so real in your imagination that you feel part of the scene in your mind, like you could reach out and touch it. Some people get so good at getting into the state of being in their imagination that you can almost smell the smells and taste the tastes, hear the sounds that would be associated with your wish fulfilled, your dream come true. Whatever you hope for, wish for, dream of, being in the vibrational, energetic state of being there, you start to draw to yourself all the resources, the circumstances, the people, everything that matches so that it comes true in manifestation into your the 3-dimensional world, your physical world where you actually experience it, where you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch it. And then other people can see it as well. Other people have no idea what your longings are. But Neville says your triumphs will be a surprise only to those who did not know your hidden passage from the state of longing to the assumption of the wish fulfilled. How do you feel now that you know it's yours? It's meant for you. The physical reality is about to catch up to your imagination, to your subjective mind. In the next chapter, The Effortless Way, Neville Goddard says the principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So, to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action. And the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. So, assume your wish has already been fulfilled. Assume it's yours. Feel the feeling of already being in that state of being. Neville says the day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. It works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action through an assumption, with least action through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. Because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. It is excluded from your view because you can see only the contents of your own consciousness. It is the function of an assumption to call back the excluded view and restore full vision. It is not the world, but your assumptions that change. An assumption brings the invisible into sight. It is nothing more nor less than seeing with the eye of God, that is, with imagination. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. The heart is the primary organ of sense, hence the first cause of experience. When you look on the heart, you are looking at your assumptions. Assumptions determine your experience. Watch your assumption with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Assumptions have the power of objective realization. Every event in the visible world is the result of an assumption or idea in the unseen world. The present moment is all important, for it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. The future must become the present in your mind if you would wisely operate the law of assumption. The future becomes the present when you imagine that you already are what you will be when your assumption is fulfilled. Be still. That's least action. And know that you are that which you desire to be. The end of longing should be being. Translate your dream into being. Perpetual construction of future states without the consciousness of already being them, that is, picturing your desire, without actually assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the fallacy and mirage of mankind. It is simply futile daydreaming. So rather than just futile daydreaming, you want to get into the state of already being what you desire, assuming the wish fulfilled. Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be. The end of longing should be being. So this means you're not just sitting still and getting into the vibrational, energetic feeling of the wish fulfilled. You'll be receiving ideas, messages, hunches. Listen to your own intuition. And when you get an idea, take action on it. Action is what leads to the wish fulfilled. So first, you set a goal, an intention, you get the picture clear in your mind. You imagine yourself already being that, and then you act as if you are that person. You do the things that you would be doing when your wish has been fulfilled. You don't spend the money ahead of time, but you figure out what you would be using your wealth for. You would be happy and healthy. How would it feel to be generously giving, to be doing the things that you would be doing? Write down some ideas of what you want, how you would use your wealth, how you would use your love and respect and intelligence and ideas. Who are you now that your wish has been fulfilled? Act like that person. Do something today that you would be doing if you already were healthy, happy, loved, wealthy, respected, everything that you would want in your life. Take the time to write down what you want. Who are you now that you have that ideal? Start to imagine what that would look like, what that would feel like, and what you would be doing. So as you're thinking from the end, imagining yourself already being that, what actions, not efforting, not forcing, not pushing, and not continuing to do the same things in the same way. But if you were already in the place of having your dream fulfilled, what actions are you taking from the heart, from the mind of that person you have become, the higher version of yourself? Write down some ideas and take action as soon as you're able to, so that in your heart, mind, and body, everything is aligned and your wishes have come true. Write it down, take action, create a wonderful day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.